The words didn't land like a whisper. They hit like a blade. Her hand shoved mine away as though my touch burned. Her eyes, once the soft refuge I thought I'd always have, were now steel. I'm not yours to touch. Don't touch me. The silence after was heavier than any scream could have been. I froze. My chest clenched, my body numb. Those weren't words spoken out of exhaustion or anger after an argument. They were words rehearsed. Words that belonged to someone who had already decided she wasn't mine anymore. I stared at her across the dimly lit kitchen. The glow of the refrigerator the only light cutting through the midnight dark. Her jaw was tight, her lips trembling just slightly, but her eyes, they were certain. What did you just say? My voice cracked, not with rage but with something worse, disbelief. She turned her back to me, pouring herself a glass of water. She didn't answer. And in that silence, the shadow I'd been pushing away for months grew claws. Looking back, I realized the betrayal didn't arrive tonight. It had been seeping in, drip by drip, until I was drowning. Her phone that used to lie face up on the couch now stayed locked, screen down. The late nights at work, the sudden laughter at texts she'd hide behind her hand. I'd tell myself I was paranoid. That marriage meant trust. That love meant not interrogating every late arrival. But love also makes you blind. And I was stumbling in darkness with my eyes willingly closed. The worst part? She had been withdrawing piece by piece. No more stolen kisses while cooking. No more warmth when I reached for her in bed. Just polite distance. As if I was a guest overstaying my welcome in my own house. And still, I clung to excuses. Stress. Exhaustion. A rough patch. Anything but the truth. When she said don't touch me, something in me broke that could never be repaired. I stepped forward, the floor creaking under my weight, and asked, "If I can't touch you, then who can?" She flinched. Not from fear, but from exposure. That single hesitation was louder than any confession. I felt my body heat with anger and despair all at once, like fire and ice clashing in my veins. "Answer me, Claire," I said, my voice shaking. Her hand tightened around the glass. "Don't do this now." "Now?" I let out a bitter laugh that tasted like blood in my mouth. "You've already done it. You've already taken what we built and handed it to someone else, haven't you?" Her silence was an answer. My knees weakened, my stomach hollowed out. I hadn't meant to snoop. God, I wanted to believe her. But weeks ago, a slip happened. She left her laptop open while showering. I shouldn't have looked. I shouldn't have clicked. But love turns you into a detective when trust is slipping away. And there they were. Emails with her boss. Not crude, not obvious. Subtle. Dangerous. "I love the way you listen. Last night was what I needed. I wish I could stay longer." Every word was a dagger I swallowed whole, and I did nothing. Nothing. Because I thought maybe, if I ignored it, she'd stop. Maybe she'd remember me, us. Maybe it wasn't too late. Tonight proved it was. "Tell me his name," I demanded. My voice was low, but my insides were screaming. Her lips parted, but no sound came. That was answer enough. I slammed my hand on the counter. "I gave you everything, Claire. My years, my trust, my love, my life. And you gave yourself away to him." Tears gathered in her eyes, but I couldn't tell if they were guilt or anger. "You don't understand," she whispered. "Make me understand." I shouted. My voice echoed through the kitchen, through the cracks in the walls, through every empty corner of this house that once felt alive with us. Her shoulders slumped. I was drowning. You stopped seeing me. I needed to feel alive again. He gave me that." I staggered back, her words cutting deeper than any affair could. I stopped seeing her? Was that my sin? Working late to pay the bills. Forgetting flowers on anniversaries? Not holding her long enough at night? I wanted to scream, to deny it, to tell her she was lying just to ease her guilt. But part of me knew, relationships don't rot in silence without reason. She reached for me then, maybe out of pity, maybe regret. But when her hand brushed my arm, it wasn't love. It wasn't hers to give anymore. I pulled back. My throat tightened. My eyes blurred, but I forced the words out. "Then you're not mine to keep." Her breath caught. For the first time, her confidence cracked. She whispered, "You don't mean that." But I did. And she knew it. I walked past her, past the broken pieces of our marriage scattered across the kitchen tile like invisible glass. I went to the bedroom, pulled out the suitcase I hadn't touched since our honeymoon, and began packing. Each shirt folded was a memory stuffed away. Each pair of socks was another piece of the life I thought I had. She stood in the doorway, arms crossed, her face unreadable. I half expected her to beg, to crumble, to apologize. But she didn't. And that silence told me everything. As I zipped the suitcase, I realized something haunting. Betrayal doesn't erase love overnight. I still loved her. God help me, I still loved her. But love without trust is just a wound that never heals. When I walked out of the house, the night air hit me with a cold finality. The cicadas hummed. The streetlights flickered. The world carried on, indifferent to the fact that my life had just imploded. Behind me, the house stood quiet. A tombstone for a marriage buried alive. I didn't look back. Because if I did, I might have stayed. And staying would have killed me slower than leaving. She said, "I'm not yours to touch, don't touch me." And I replied, "Then you're not mine to keep." Those words will haunt me forever. Not because they ended us, but because they were the truest words I'd ever spoken.